My name is Eric. I'm 52 years old. Came to California to help with the fire cleanup after the wildfires in Northern California. Thought it'd be the nice thing to do. Kind of got this way after a long illness. Cancer, yeah, I know it sucks, right? But anyway, I came out and started working in Lake County. Hard work, long days, long hours. 12 hours a day from when you can't see the sun in the morning to when you can't see the sun at night. But it was worth it. Just helping people, clear the land so they could start rebuilding. Something really worthwhile. Well, there were some problems with the company I worked for. Our contract stated we were non-exempt. We were supposed to get paid at a certain rate, including time and a half after the first 8 hours that day. Well, it wasn't happening. And it wasn't just for me. From Lake County to Mendocino, to Sonoma, to Napa, all of the folks in this organization who are considered long-term temporaries were having the same problem. And try as we might, week after week after week, the company didn't fix it. It was very demoralizing. Caused all sorts of difficulties. I lost my motel room that I had an agreement for because I couldn't pay because I wasn't getting the right pay rate. Wound up living in my car, or truck rather, until Bertha, my truck, broke down. Now I'm coming to you from a lovely rental from a used car company. Sweet people, sort of. But anyway, so went on to Santa Rosa, Sonoma, began working there, and for the first time in my experience with this company, I began to have difficulties with them beyond pay. Just complaints about quality of work. Now, I've worked several projects for them before with no issues, right? But I heard certain rumblings, and I made requests for, additional training. Had folks come out to the job site. Shout out to Clover Flats Disposal in Calistoga. Miss you, Sheila. It's way cool. And nothing. No one ever really came. And it was very perplexing because same company, the folks on the Napa contract, their managers came out to see them. They did observations, critiques, helped them get better if there were any issues. But the folks on my Sonoma contract, same company, couldn't give a rat's ass. So anyway, I would bring issues up. I would try to pattern my work after that with folks in Napa again, because the Sonoma folks with this company weren't coming. One day I got in to the office, turned in my work. My data entry was immaculate, no issues there. Paperwork was on point. Managers jumping down my throat anyway about supposed mistakes. I don't go off. No. Anyway. So at the end of this, I asked him, was everything okay? And he said, oh yeah, it was. Begrudgingly, but he admitted it. And he said, oh, by the way, you're being put on standby. You're being transferred back to Clear Lake County. Now, the issue with Lake County was that there was no work. The reason that most of us left Lake County, the reason I transferred to Sonoma, was because there was no work left in Lake County. But this manager, Josh, said, yeah, you're being put on standby. You need to call the Lake County manager, Kyle. Well, I knew Kyle from Texas. I said, okay, maybe I'm wrong. So I called Kyle, and he's like, oh, Eric, yeah, Lake County hasn't released any more ROEs. There's not a lot of work going around. I don't have anything for you. Well, I'd been transferred, but I'd been effectively fired. Sent to a place with no work. Reasons why? Well, first and foremost, because I kept asking politely, but for the pay to be straightened out. So that was an issue for them. I don't know why. Signed a contract saying I was non-exempt, which means I'm supposed to be paid at a certain rate. Then you pay that rate. But that, along with, managers who might have been burned out, who just didn't give a rat's ass, asking for certain supplies that you should get in order to do your job, shit like that. Didn't happen. I didn't really want to talk about my prior illness and stuff like that. Really felt it had no bearing. I was doing the job. I was grinding. I got great commendations, actually, from the Napa Tetra Tech program managers who came out to see their people because of the effort I was putting forth to help them get their work out. But anyway, there was no work for me. I said, oh, okay. So the next day, I went to pick up some paperwork, turn some stuff in, and I asked them about some sick time for me because I needed to go ahead and make a doctor's appointment, that sort of stuff. They didn't turn it in. Okay. I went ahead and made my formal complaint in writing of all the things I've been asking about for this time that have been sending via text, email, that sort of thing. Voicemail, I should say. So I reduced it to writing, turned it in. I got a little bit of a buzz. But still they weren't really forthcoming. I was sent to a clandestine HR office in Utah, of all places. I'm in California. The headquarters is in California. The head HR person's office is in California. But they send me to someone out of state. Strange. What do they have to hide? A lot, I think. So, this person really wasn't helpful, although they pretended to be. Days turned into weeks. Finally, I complained to Charlie McPherson, Tetra Tech's PR person, who had been helpful once before, but this time maybe not so much. I said, maybe they aren't taking this seriously enough. This person's been a waste of time. Nothing's happened. So finally I was sent to, and beware of this person, please, the Director of Human Resources, Amy Clark. Soul-sucking person, really. So, they make like they're helping me. They say, oh, Eric, we're going to go over all your timesheets, see where it is where we might need to pay you. Okay, Eric, we're taking a look at your breaks and your lunches, and we want to go ahead and pay for all of those. Strange, I think. But Tetra Tech had a policy of forcing the employees to write in breaks and lunches, whether they took them or not. If you turned in a timesheet that didn't have breaks or lunches written on it, the manager would give it back to you and tell you to write something in. That was policy handed down to them, and they handed it down to you. So, to cover their ass now, with the state, I guess, they cut me one check for 52 hours of breaks and lunches. Covering their ass because they knew they were wrong. Well, that was nice, but it still wasn't taking care of the issue. I, as a disposal monitor, that was my job, I had reached a certain level. I did some training on my projects in Texas, and as a disposal monitor, you start that project, you end that project. You don't worry about being flexed off, any of that bullshit. When you stop working, that contract is done. That was a reasonable expectation. I'd done that job, several projects already. So my expectation was to still be on that job at Clover Flats and still getting paid. I kept emphasizing this. well, we have certain rights. We don't feel like, yeah, that's BS. You know, you guys effectively, constructively fired me because I kept asking about my pay. It wasn't right. But it wasn't right, again, for any of us in that division. So, eventually, because of Rebecca Johnson's, the clandestine HR person stuff, her mishandling, I grew frustrated. I had sat down with California Labor, learned about some of my rights, and they broke my case up into 3 parts. I got the paperwork for the first part. I sent copies of it to Charlie McPherson and Amy Clark. At that point, they became a little serious, but not all that much. They decided to make me a verbal offer of $7,000. Doesn't sound like much, considering what I was getting paid. But eventually I said, okay, well, I guess I'll take it and get on with it. Well, they sent this agreement that basically deprives you of any and all rights short of breathing. The lawyer went over it with me and said, you'd be a fool to sign it. Well, now I have to revoke it because I knew I had time to cancel it. I requested it. They didn't want to send it. They did send it. I signed it and sent it back, knowing that I had a right to revoke it after so many days. Well, the agreement was worse than I thought. They would have me pay for their legal fees, my legal fees. They could fine me for any time that I talked to someone, usually legally, about an issue. If OSHA came to my door, it wouldn't allow me to cooperate. If the FBI came to my door, the Justice Department, the list goes on and on. Like I said, robbed you of almost any rights except breathing. The only way I could sort of cooperate with anyone was on the witness stand. You couldn't ask me any questions, get the information you needed to get before you put me on the stand. You'd have to wait and get me on that. No, no, hell no. So, this video, amongst other things, serves as not only a warning, but a total denunciation and formal revoking of that contract, Amy Clark. Every last bit of it. There's a counter. I'm going to take the unemployment. I'll be at the hearing in April to collect the $10,000 plus waiting penalty. And for the retaliation firing, however they want to call it, I've been told it's a 6-figure case. I'm looking forward to collecting whenever that takes place. But I'm going on with my life. I'm telling my story, and I'm telling anyone else who will listen, stay away from Tetra Tech and their post-disaster unit. Oh, by the way, the company as a whole, they have, how shall I say, with the financial statements put through analytics, they show for a high probability of bankruptcy. So you might want to be careful. Just a word. Just a heads up. And for those folks who would care to help, I would like to stay in Sonoma. I would like to continue helping with the rebuilding of Sonoma. So I am looking to do some volunteer work with Habitat for Humanity. There's a GoFundMe page. Please go to the GoFundMe page and support me so I can do this work and really feel like I've done something before it's time to leave and go back home to Texas. Eric, over and out.